Okay, guys, Lost Boys here. We're going to be reviewing Arrival. I know it's a little bit late, but I wanted to get it in the pocket and have it there for later, just in case anybody decided that they want, hadn't seen it yet and they were still hunting around for reviews and making their decision. All right, so Arrival is a supposed to be a slow-burning science fiction film, right? And it's supposed to be kind of a moody suspense piece. As far as alien movies go, we're not talking action thriller, we're not talking suspense, we're not talking horror. We're just talking more like a moody, you know, piece. So, uh, Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner and Forest Whitaker are the three leads in this film, and the story. We'll start off with a brief synopsis here. Story starts off showing the brief, flashbacks and daily life of a female professor who is a linguist, and they don't do a ton to tell you anything about her. This is just here she is. Here's her depressing, boring life, and now alien ships have simultaneously invaded the planet, and they've all decided that they're going to take up occupied airspace over different continents and different areas of those continents. So the one that's hovering over America, for instance, is sitting over Montana. The different ones that are over different countries are in different areas. So it's not necessarily near the Washington D.C. Like Independence Day type thing where they hover over your biggest populace and try and dominate that. It's interesting that they pick a relatively out of the way area to set their ship in kind of stasis and then begin the aliens mission they've obviously come here for a reason. We just don't know what it is, and it's not like they exactly hop out of the ship and start talking to us. And so you find out really quickly that the planet's been invaded, and they start off with a fairly quick story progression there that shows her being whipped up. And it's kind of weird that she is ripped up out of her position at the college. No one's showing up for classes. Everyone abandons their lives. Apparently, she's the only person stupid enough or has nothing going on for herself that she's like showing back up for her fucking class, and nobody's there. So she decides I guess I'm just gonna go cook some lunch in the faculty room. And then they flash to this scene where Forrest Whitaker is a military colonel who's overseeing this base camp just adjacent to the alien ship, where they're doing scientific experiments and trying to communicate and figure out what's going on simultaneously with all the other countries in the world that are doing their own similar efforts. So that's a pretty stupid lead-in, just that you don't give a shit about the character. She doesn't really matter. Her life's obviously sucks and is stupid. And now some military guy magically knows where she is in the middle of pure fucking chaos, where the shit's falling apart. No, people have abandoned their classes. They've abandoned their jobs. They've abandoned. People probably aren't delivering shit with semi trucks anymore. This movie doesn't take any time to focus on any of the realities of economic collapse. Even initially, they don't try to show an economic chaos. They're just like confusion and kind of like everybody's collectively holding their breath is what it is what you're supposed to believe. Even though they've already shown that people are just quit doing the basic functions that make society work. And I'm telling you, if people quit delivering shit to grocery stores, one day, if semi-truck drivers decide, I'd rather be safe at home with my families, it's probably like the last day on Earth, I'm not going to go and deliver my route today because holy shit, there's an alien invasion happening, I'm not just going to pretend it's a normal day, then people are starving and chaos ensues, right? So they don't do a good job of showing any of that shit at all. And they just want you to, follow the progression of this academic who gets contracted into military service. So we have Amy Adams, the main character now, with very little reason or explanation, how she was discovered, how she's found. She's been grabbed and taken into this place. And Jeremy Renner at this point is introduced in the story. He is an expert of equal merit in a different field, so he's valued obviously. I think in mathematics versus language a language field, like she is, and they are teamed up to try to investigate this, what's going on. So the suspense building is kind of cool in the first act, where even though you didn't get any character building, the suspense building is still nonetheless ominous and interesting. And so they show these ships, and you want to know what's inside, you want to know why they're not communicating, and you want to get in there too. Just as bad as, you know, these characters want to get in there but are also scared to get in there, you do a good job of translating that feeling. And so it doesn't take very long before you're taken, and I'm going to let you know right now, I'm just going to talk about this movie. If you're looking for a spoiler-free review of Arrival, don't stop here, because I mean, I won't reveal, I guess, every single little thing, but I'm not going to talk about this movie. It sucked too much not to just go ahead and fucking talk about it. If it was awesome, I'd hold it in the pocket for you, and I'd say, oh, I would play tongue-in-cheek, and then wink, wink, go out and see this, because, you know, I think it's worth, you know, seeing. I really don't think this is worth seeing. I think I've seen better fucking special effects on the Sci-Fi Channel. I think that this shit just sucked, man. So anyways, we're outside the ship now, and the characters are trying to get in. And they, you know, they've been in, the military's been in a couple times, and she's getting prepped for her trip in. And, you know, they take a couple trips in the ship. Essentially, you're working with octopus-type aliens that don't speak our language and can't communicate very well. So, first couple times going in, it's really confusing, but fairly quickly she develops some methods to try and figure out how to communicate with the octopus aliens. And the movie's using this whole time, I'll get to this later, never mind. So she's developing her method for communicating with the aliens, and then has a breakthrough moment where she realizes that, you know, the verbal language, the auditory language that they kind of can click and speak and moan and groan, it almost sounds like a variation on whale language, right? Is not the key way that they actually communicate. The primary method for which the aliens communicate is through a written and visual language. And so they kind of release ink like an octopus, and the ink floats in the air and it creates a symbol. And so they start compiling data, and they montage. You know, so we got a second act montage going on now, right? So we're in a second act montage of learning and information discovery, and oh, this circle means this, and, you know, little montages of data points mapping circles, and other countries, you know, on the phone with America. We're going to figure this shit out. No. Still haven't checked back in with society and how well it's doing, you know, now that food hasn't been delivered in the grocery store in a fucking month or two, you know, and people are dying and starving and killing themselves all over the place. They're like ominously acting like certain events are ramping up and problems are happening in different countries, and we're losing control here, you know, and it's fucking stupid, because, you know, you would have lost control instantly. Aliens invade like this, you lose fucking control of your entire planet and all of your societies instantly. So that's just stupid. It's so fucking stupid. I really didn't care for this movie. All right, Jeremy Renner does nothing to add to the character. Really does nothing to add to the film, except for, you know, work a little harder than her and longer hours than her to come up with solutions that equal her genius. So, you know, while she just stumbles into these solutions because it's like, well, it's language and it's simple, and if you think about it this way, it's really like that, see? And it's like all of her explanations for how things work are all like overly simplified. Meanwhile, this guy's fucking got whiteboards full of mathematical equations that make what Sheldon does on Big Bang fucking, I mean, it puts that to shame, right? So if Jeremy Renner's only merit as a character that he brings to the table is that he works so hard, and he's, you know, even though he's dumber than she is, that he's able to come up with solutions that that are also helpful in deciphering the language and deciphering the motivation of the aliens. You get into the Act 3, which is the culmination of chaos. Okay, the culmination of chaos happens in Act 3 because China is being more warlike with their interaction with the aliens than some of the other countries are, and they're basically saying, you get the fuck out of here or we're going to blow you up. You know, it's just stupid, because if they can't, you know, they haven't analyzed the whole, they can't tell what signals these guys are using to communicate with each other. They don't know really anything about these ships. And as far as they know, if they shoot this ship, it's made of a substance they don't even realize what it is. It could blow up and then take the whole planet with it. The Chinese are just being... The whole thing is just really dumb. The whole thing is so fucking dumb. And so, Act 3, we are... learning almost, we're discovering more about the aliens, and the main character is having dreams that seem to be more than just dreams. It's like there's a metaphysical power being exchanged between her and the aliens. It's imbuing her with some sort of psychedelic foresight, you might call it, for lack of a better word. Because it hasn't, in the movie at this point, it doesn't really reveal itself yet. They finally explain it. They take care to explain it in the end, which I guess is nice. So she is, on the brink of discovering what's happening to her physically, and what the message that they're trying to deliver, which is, this message. What is it? It's complicated. We can't figure it out. And so what ends up happening is, God, the military, of course, does their thing. Countries quit communicating with each other, and they all go into DEFCON 5 mode, or 1, or whatever's the most extreme state of emergency for your nation. And they're all about to go nuclear option on these ships. And the ship sends out like a little ambassador shuttle to her, and that takes her back into the ship, and she actually goes beyond this little kind of glass barrier that they've been communicating between, and she's in this fog with the aliens now. This fog, you've seen them floating in the whole movie, and forms recognizable but not in detail because the fog is really thick. It's kind of like The Mist from Stephen King, where it comes in so thick you just can't see shit. And so she has a final communication with the aliens that helps her understand that what's really been being given to them is the message was the language, the body of the language. Once they've communicated the language and the humans have learned the language, they can then... That's kind of the end game scenario for the aliens, because they have another motivation that's tied to that. And I'll leave you the one mystery that the film has, so I don't fuck that up for you if you do watch this. But yeah, there is a reason why they came there. There's a reason why they deposit the language, and there's a reason they want the humans to have it. And they are encouraging... some people are speculating they're encouraging cooperation. Some people are speculating that they're encouraging destruction. Not everybody's speculating that they may just be encouraging revolution, And so I said revolution, I meant evolution, right? And so if the aliens are just encouraging accelerated human evolution, then how can this language help that, and what does that mean, and so there's still a mystery for you to discover in this film if you choose to watch it. And I won't give away the end. Can't really talk about much more without revealing details at this point that I'd rather not reveal. So I'll get into where I regularly go. I'm trying to get a format here. I'll get into where I regularly want to go with this, which is the outstanding performances. None. There were none. There were no fucking outstanding performances. Amy Adams sucks. Jeremy Renner is he's tolerable, but that's the most I can say for him. I mean, coming from a guy who hates Jeremy Renner, I refuse to watch the portion of the Bourne franchise that he was in. I'm not going to let him just fuck up everything that I love because he's willing to take the part and make it work for the studio instead of holding out and letting something have a little more integrity and get done the right way before it gets put into pre-production and full steam ahead, right? So Jeremy Renner, I feel like, actually is a ruiner of a couple projects that I thought were really cool, so I don't want anything to do with him. He definitely didn't ruin this movie. He's just ineffective as a character and as an actor. Amy Adams, fucking ineffective as a character and as an actor. Forrest Whitaker is one of the most amazing actors I've ever fucking seen. I don't even know why they put him in here. I don't know why they put him in here. To first start, but they paid him to get some people in the theaters because his name is known so it's so trusted and fans of drama, I think that they knew they could draw numbers to the seats just by getting him on the screen. The people would say, "Oh, Forrest Whitaker participated. It must be, you know, a pretty cool movie with some pretty heavy themes and good qualities." And I don't think so. You know, I'm sorry. If you want to watch Forrest Whitaker, it's one of his best performances ever. Watch The Shield. Commit to it, and then get to season 5 where he comes in. He cameos for a portion of season 6 as well, but you really want to watch season 5 where Forrest Whitaker comes into the Shield on the tails of the season 4 cameo of Glenn Close. 2 cameos for a television show that will take the cake of, I mean, they're all time best. You will be hard pressed to find any show that's accessed that kind of star power to for a cameo bump for a seasonal role, and then transitioned out of it so cleanly with so much more given to the series, not so much more actually robbed from it, because, you know, they tried, the studio thought they could grab an actress and throw it at you, you know, throw a name at you, and that you would just bite on it because you're stupid, and oh yeah, I'm gonna watch that because so and so's in it, and it's gonna be great. And when they really have a poor writing plan, and you know, it's a classic mistake of trying to bust through with star power when you have an under quality production. Forrest Whitaker feels like he was utilized in that way in this film, where they had an under quality story and they needed a little bit more star power to sell it, and that doesn't work. They don't realize that doesn't fucking work. It actually discredits the actor, and it discredits the film as a whole. So, I mean, I can't really tell you that anybody had any standout positive performances or standout negative performances. It was lukewarm, the whole thing. And so this story, I think, will get forgotten. It will get time will not be kind to Arrival. It will be forgotten more than the Charlie Sheen, The Arrival, that he did, which actually kind of has held a cult following for a while. A lot more than I believe this film will. This film is not going to hold some kind of, you know, cult following of people that believe in it, because it has nothing to help it stand the test of time. There's nothing to help it stand. There is nothing about this movie that's fucking worth a shit. And so if you think that if you got fooled into believing this was a fucking great movie because it was just slow, and it was a slow burner, and it was cerebral, and had some, you know, good composers that had, the composing was good enough to build mood in a couple scenes. I mean, people can build moods in a fucking 30-second commercial on television. It doesn't accomplish anything for me when you can do when you got a couple of killer, when you spend a few $100 million. Yeah, I expect you to build a mood at least a couple fucking times and build tension, or, you know, create an atmosphere so thick that I want to cut through it with a knife. You should be able to do that in a film. So it doesn't impress me that they did that a couple times in this movie, and that's all the merit that it really has, is that it had a strong act with a really foreboding feeling that was ominous at first, and made you feel like something bad was gonna happen, or, you know, something really mysterious and mind-blowing was gonna happen that was gonna help you identify with this film and help it stand out from all other Alien Arrival films that have been released in the past. This doesn't do it. It doesn't do it. It's a piece of shit. And I can't believe Rotten Tomatoes and all these other websites and stuff, they're giving it such great reviews. It does not deserve the reviews that it's gotten. And God, guys, do not go out and see this fucking movie. Do not go out and watch this piece of shit. You're just going to be disappointed. Watch it on the Sci-Fi Channel, because in 10 years, they're just going to be airing this on USA and TBS and the fucking Sci-Fi Channel all the time until it disappears into sci-fi obscurity. And no one will ever go back and go, oh, that was one of the greats. We got to pull that piece of shit out and watch that again. No, it's not going to be even Signs quality cult following. I mean, it's not. So I'm sorry if you got fooled. I'm sorry if people told you that this was great, and it doesn't have story continuity that is as a positive. It doesn't have acting as a positive. It doesn't even have fucking CGI as a positive. There are no great positives in this film. The only thing that it has was mood building and tension building. You know, there was a significant amount of that in the first act. So it made you really curious, and it made you kind of want to see what was inside, and that was a neat feeling until they did it, and then they fucked it up and it got boring, and so please don't go out and see Arrival. This is my first review I'm gonna do. That's actually a not. This is my first real negative review that I think I've had so far. So it's time for a score. It's time for a score. I am gonna give Arrival a. I'm gonna give Arrival a. Ooh, this is tough, man. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. It's going low. This is my first below 5, okay? I'm giving Arrival a 4 out of 10 because of all the aforementioned reasons. But yeah, to sum it up, it is just a lukewarm film. There is nothing special about this film that's going to make it stand the test of time, and there were nothing about the there's nothing about the story that should make you want to care to watch it. So what's the point? Don't go watch this movie. Don't see it. It is a 4 out of 10, possibly less, and so all right, guys, this has been Lost Boys and Lee for another review, and I hope you enjoyed it and you stopped by to check out some of my other ones and go and see those, because everything that I've reviewed up until this point has been pretty good. And we're having a pretty good movie year. Coming soon, we'll be having the next Rogue One. Rogue One's coming soon, so I'm most excited about reviewing that. I got a couple things I could squeeze in between, which I might do. It just depends. If I feel like I can stomach reviewing another Pixar movie. I actually had to suppress a review of a different Pixar movie that I couldn't let go to the public because it was a little too volatile for such a review for such a kid's film. So anyways, have a good one, guys. I'll be talking to you soon, and I'll be releasing some more content soon. Take it easy.